What a difficult day. So, here we are. I'm going to give you the breakdown on the nightmare in Bangkok. I have my notes already, and I just spoke with friends from the past. This has been a good thing, this channel. I have this channel because I have a 5-year-old son that was born March 24th, 2020. He's going to be 5 coming up. And during COVID, he was born. I went through an issue there. It was great seeing him born. I was in there and cut the cord and everything. The next day, I had gone to work and they wouldn't let me come back in there. Anyhow, we get him home. For 2 months, I got to raise the boy, bathing him and changing him and loving him and seeing what that link is when that's your boy. I know Sarge knows. I saw the picture with him and his boy, and it's an amazing thing. You don't know. It's not the same as a nephew. I had my nephew, and it wasn't the same. So my 5-year-old coming up, I don't have anything for him. My life has been misery, and besides a beautiful upbringing, high school, I was in the military with excellent guidance, and up to that point, I did well. After that's what I'm going to tell you about, and since then, I've been just paying the price, living in by modest means, and staying low, staying out of trouble, staying out of the streets, not trying to achieve anything since the boy was taken. I have the papers here. I was going through them. I have folders. This is Anders' briefs and things I did to keep the boy. We put him in a foster house. The mother gave up her custody, and I fought it, lost custody. So now she at least has contact, and I need to get lawyers. Groke was saying. I go on X for my Twitter for my channel advice as far as linking it, what what hashtags to put on it, and just good advice. I'm so happy the country's going in the direction that it is with the light of the Lord shining down, and I'm feeling that. So things are going good. They just weren't today until I talked to my best friend, and brothers always, man. So let me clip this. Bam. Cool. So there, that's like a cut, and we're gonna go into my show, my talk. No pictures to back it up. Channel will get better, and we're doing good. 1,700 subscribers. I'm surprised there's no one on here. I was sitting at church and I had 500 people there. So it's weird. I have to figure this out. But let me get the story up and I'll feel much better. There'll be content up. And this probably won't last too long, but the longer the better. They have different stages you go through with the channel. It normally takes 6 months to get to 1,000 subscribers. And at that point, you'll have either 3,000 to 4,000 hours of people watching it, or 3 million short views. So I way outpaced the average with 1,000 subscribers in a month, and I need the hour views because this would be a wonderful job. I've applied at Uber and Lyft, and it's been 2 months I'm waiting to possibly rent a car to get back into the job market. Otherwise, I'm cutting trees and splitting wood and working on this farm that I have some videos on here about, and we're going to be selling everything in the barn. And there's a bus in there. I'll either take that bus or something else, and I'm driving across country and stopping in Rockford. Hey, Rockford. Even you're not watching this now, but you may see it later. My Rockford high school friends, I always say, are the best. They married each other from high school sweethearts. They're still married. They're just genuine people, and I love Rockford and everybody there. Especially Jimmy and Brian and Gage and Mikey, and all you guys. So, on to the story, y'all. What happened to me after high school? I went in the Marine Corps, 85. I went through their training, and I mean, that's a story in itself, but um, I don't have notes on that. We can go back. But that was a great time. Went through the training, graduated high in the Navy Marine Corps Intelligence Training Center, then flew out to California to be a Air Wing Marine, like they wear the sunglasses. And then my sergeant is the Pepsi skateboard champion for San Fernando Valley, the Valley dudes. This is when the Valley was big in the movies, and it's the center of the world. And this guy could fly the CH-46 or the CH-53, the big heavy lift helicopters. He had me as door gunner. He sent me, is this even in here? He sent me on temporary additional duty out to Laguna Beach. I know this is in here. And put me in all the best training. Survival training he went through was survival, evasion, resistance, escape. And he did it all. He's the Jason Bourne that Rogan needs to have on there. So he would send me to the best things. Humvee training school. That's 2 weeks of beating the heck out of a Humvee. That's when they just came out. And it was right on the beach, Laguna Beach. I had an excellent time. Very good time. Not excellent, but very good, very good. It was very good. Good memory. Which you won't get to share today because I went on a 3-month float. So because my sergeant's awesome and the CO and XO listen to him all the time, we went on a 3-month float. And we flew back after 2 or 3 weeks with the CO and XO, my sergeant and I. I'm a corporal. I'm a nothing. It's all my Sarge. Just he's very convincing, and he's Jason Bourne incarnate. I mean, he'll just murder someone with thinking about it. So we came back, and there's a flower on the. My sergeant's already heard this. There's a flower on the counter. We live off base. We have a nice pool. There's neighbors that are always going out and doing things and having us over for movies. And there's another story there that I'll go into another time. Anyhow, I come home, I see the flower. I'm an intelligence specialist. I break her down in a heartbeat. She's confessing about everything, and it disgusted me more, and I ripped the phone out. I didn't touch her, but there was uncommon violence. I thought I turned my... Get off there. I thought I turned my... It's so unprofessional. I got angry with her, but I didn't hit her. I have 3 sisters, and I'm a lover, not a fighter, and I wouldn't hit a woman, but I remember that I was so angry. And ripped the phone out. While I was talking to my friend Brian Hart, back in Rockford, actually. But like, we got off the phone, and I ripped it out of the wall. And just left. And my parents came and helped her move, and it was a mess. Why did I even go into that story? So, boom, that was the first one. That was annulled. And what? I didn't stay in. I should have stayed in. So, there's that. But one thing I still have is a brother forever. And that's as good as it gets. Okay, we're moving on to Chicago. So... We started in 85, Marine Corps. It's now 1989 and we're in Chicago. This is where the story starts. Let's do this again. There, we highlighted it. We're at 10 minutes. Sweet. Right on. And, damn it. Pardon my French. Damn it. Let's call this. I tried to turn off my notifications. I knew this was going to happen. Okay, we are in Chicago. My best friends, Jigs and Rex. Jigs is my best friend. Rex is his twin brother. They're from Sierra Leone, Africa. Their father's an agronomist, farmer. And Adrian was married with a kid. And Jigs, his twin brother, with his English accent, was my best friend. And we would go to Mr. Lucky's and play pool. And we had a following because we always had a lot of money. And oh, please, people, stop. Unbelievable. Terrible. Okay, here we are. We're in 1989 Chicago. Jigs is my best friend. We're hitting the nightclubs, going to Mr. Lucky's. Twice a week, we would take our motorcycles from the North Shore to the south side of Chicago and drop off something that we paid, like we paid $3,000, we'd get $7,000. We were making $2,000 each every 3 days. That was from the friends that came down from Detroit. They had handed me a paper bag full of money, and I spent it. And they said, "Do you want to make some more of that?" That was the hook. And they told me I'd be bringing back precious. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Sorry, folks. Let me see if I can pause this because this is crazy. Okay, we can't. Well, my friends, I wish they'd be watching instead of texting me, but you know how it goes. We are in 1989. Jigs and I are hanging out. The Ghanaians bring me the money, and I go on my first trip. First trip is to Singapore. And Singapore, I go there and have a beautiful hotel, a $900 hotel bill. I still remember the first week, and it was $2,700 for the other 2 weeks later, so another $900. Or no, it doubled. So it was $900, and then it was $2,700 for the other two. So we upped it. But my brother was there after the first week. He came, and we went to restaurants. We had drunken prawns on a rotating restaurant that was sitting on top of a fish tank, basically a glass floored aquarium. And we had a great time. We still remember the Singapore slings. At that point, he was staying at the hotel, and I thought someone was following me. And I was with this girl she was Turkish and German, named Denis Poulat. And that was the love of my life. I doubted I'd ever have another. Hell, I was almost dead a year ago. You can see how skinny I am. I need to gain weight. Anyhow, the love of my life in Singapore, I stayed at her flat because I thought there were people at the hotel watching us, and there were. And it was an excuse to stay at her flat. Would go out every night and dance, and money was, we were on an expense account. Her and I ended up going from Singapore, that's right at the tip of Lake Malaysia, the city. The rest is all Malaysia, so we just went out of the city into Malaysia, another country, and went to this palm thatched hut, and they had a big rebel flag, and they were the coolest Malaysian people, foreigners. That's where I really got to see and travel and understand that everybody just wants to be happy and get along. We had a great time, and what a magical time for this girl and I. I ended up getting arrested shortly after, and she sent me some money in jail. I had sent her some money, and money was going back and forth. But I was always happy that she sent me 800, I think, in jail, and lost contact. And I don't think she's around with us any longer. I'm sure she's not. So, why did I even go into that? That's heavy. So we're on the first trip to Singapore, and we're on to the second. Boom. Let me push this. Oops, that's better. Okay, we are on to the second trip to the Philippine Islands. This is when Mount Pinatubo erupted, and I got held up at gunpoint on my way to the karaoke bar. Oh my gosh. Okay, so first trip, come back, everything's good. There's money. There's a picture of me in a bathtub full of money. And I was off the hook. I wasn't taking care of that. I was living very wild times. And Chicago was great. So we got back, bought a motorcycle. We bought new stereo equipment, paid the rent for 6 months, paid some bills. There was $30,000 altogether, and that was gone in 3 months. Boom, brings on Philippine Islands. So they call me and they say, "Do you want to go to Italy?" And I'm like, "Italy? Yeah, I'll go to Italy." And they meant Thailand, Italian. So these are Nigerians or Ghanaians saying, "Mark, you want to go to Italy, to Nigeria, or to Thailand, Italian." Okay, Italian, Thailand. So I thought it was Italy and it was Thailand. But that plan, I went to go to Thailand, Bangkok, to make the deal. And all of a sudden I was sent to the Philippines. I was going to be the third leg, Philippines to LA. And this turned out just to be a vacation. Like I said, there was the Mount Pinatubo erupting. I go to leave my flat, and I'm on a budget there. I remember I had to pawn my watch and my ring after about a week. Oh, because I was in Philippines, supposed to go to Thailand, Bangkok, waiting for them. Then they changed it. I'm staying there. They get busted in Thailand. The two Nigerians that were packing it, they would line it in a suitcase and put carbon paper, and then put a paper, and then the substance, and then another piece of paper, carbon paper on each side, makes it look like it's one piece. They got busted there in Thailand. So my end in PI was done. There was nothing else. The supply chain was done. And I went from there right to Bangkok, as a matter of fact. So we're going right into, I go into Bangkok because it was a failed job. They sent me more cash, $4,000, and I still lost my ring in the Philippines because this guy, Danny Tagalog, that spoke Tagalog, that was his name, Danny Tagalog. I had left all of a sudden, and I ended up getting my gold watch back, but not the ring. And I had this money. I went to Thailand and was picked up at the airport by a Thai that owned a it was called Paraplastics, the Paraplastic factory in Thailand. Well, he ended up snitching on me. In the paperwork, He got $4,000 from the Thai for turning me in, and then he got $4,000 from the people I worked for the packages that I picked up, which was north of Bangkok, a good hour and a half, in this middle class looking house that looked exactly except for the hole in the floor in the bathroom that was their toilet with the little shower handle. And otherwise, it looked like a regular house, but no toilet. No, nothing to sit down in. So I get the packaging while I'm at their house. I had been doing stimulants of the coca variety and didn't know what heroin or anything like that was, but just knew the powder. As a matter of fact, there's a story my friend Jigs at one point. He has a line. He says, "Mark, go have a line." So I go take it, and this, when you do opiates, you're going to puke. I puked all over his apartment. I'm glad I did. What a terrible thing that he did to bait and switch, or I don't know. We ended up going to the club that night, and I couldn't even keep my head up. I still remember just being so dizzy and sick, and just getting in the cab and going home and flipping those guys off because that was terrible. So by the time I get to Thailand, uh, I don't have a habit, but there had been times it had been in my system. So you still have a withdrawal. So when I was headed to the airport, I was actually in withdrawal and having symptoms of sickness because I didn't want to be there under that influence trying to fly. So they packaged it. While I'm up there, I do one at these folks' house and I pass out for like over 12 hours, say 15 hours at least. It was about 15 exactly hours I pass out and woke up, and they were real nice and took me into the hotel. So I'm in the hotel with a bag of weed. This kilo of 940 grams is what I got busted with. Thank God it was under a kilo, or I would have done 8 years instead of 4. Anyhow, uh, I'm in the hotel, so paranoid because I'm in downtown Bangkok, and the taxi driver was like, who I got the weed off of, and that's a bad idea. I mean, I didn't have him take me to my hotel, but it was close enough where I was like, I got the weed off the snitch taxi driver who's gonna say where I'm at, plus I have this here. So the night before was a nightmare. And then the next day I went to the airport, and the refrigerator where I had packed it in that night before was to go on to Philippines and be shipped on. It was a small refrigerator. Because even when I heard, I was like, what do you mean in a refrigerator? They meant a small one. And it is done. So that went on board. I had the tickets for them. And as I was going through the security is where they dropped the hammer. Took me to a side room. Brought the refrigerator. Put packages all around me so they were sitting on me. And that's where I took one of the packages and just, I was just wanted to not be there. It was not a suicide attempt, but a attempt to escape the consequences. And you never learn unless you face the consequences. What I've been doing all these last years was paying the consequences. So they take me in, and we go to this meeting factory house, passing out Bangkok. The fridge, night before, the refrigerator, 2, 1, 2, and we are into. They take me to the little state facility or the jail next to the airport, and that's where I run into Russ. It's Rustum, my good friend Rustum from Turkey, who would magically pull up these rubber pellets full of 90 92% pure China white. And he was shooting it. Unfortunately, he had a bad habit, but he did get better with that. I was a novice and would smoke it because it had come out of the toilet and it was disgusting. And I really didn't want to. I wanted to be as alert as possible. Especially the next place you go to is into the jail and processing, where they strip you down naked and bend over and all this. There's a video on here of the guy, and he's like on his knees. Well, I didn't kneel. And then they'll push you with that. Well, I grabbed his stick, and then I got beat. But just once by each, I ended up hurting my ankle. But I still tried to escape with Tom and Billy. And it did get us out of the holding. So we went from having to be in the Bombot, where there's 80 people stacked up like cordwood, to from 3 to 5 days, and we were in the main prison, where there's all the palm thatched huts, and it's a fake paradise. You have the orchids without an aroma on the trees, and there's a klong with fish, and we're playing chess and watching TV. There's not a phone, but we'd have our letters. And it was a glorious time. We'd get packages in. I had shared earlier how I had a box full of candy that was sent in a parcel. And on the way up, one of the guards took one of the pieces of candy, and I had no idea at that point that there was hash stuck to the candy. The guard ate it without thinking it tasted weird. An idiot. And he was, I guess, very Mao, they call it. So the next day they come into our cell and see all the empty candy wrappers because we opened them all and ate all the candy. And then would take the hash and would form it into little black, it looking like cicada, like cockroach turds, and would roll. They have cockroach turds about yay big, and if you roll hash into a little about yay big circular, it looks just like the egg or the shit or whatever the hell it is of the cockroach. So we'd have them all in our little palm thatched hut downstairs, where in the morning when they'd open the gates, we'd come downstairs and we'd start our fire and put the water on and have some coffee and chit chat. And you'll see in one of the breakdowns I give, the Thais, they have to work and wash our clothes and everything else. The food they'd give us would keep the rice and re-boil it and get the rocks out. And then we'd order chicken and pork and tomatoes and carrots, and we'd make our own meals. Chicken curry. We'd get spices from the States. At one point we got some thyme that was ground up weed, and Pierre was like, "Mark, try this." So I rolled some up real quick, and sure enough, we didn't have some really good ganja. Because that's what was missing. That only give us, the guards were bringing in heroin, and they wanted everybody on heroin. Well, the American hut and Walter with his 14 tons of marijuana, he wasn't having that. So we'd have lockers exploding with hooch building up pressure in them a couple times a week. But our garden was so far apart that they'd have to come through a main entrance. And if they would come through, it'd be like, coming through, coming down, they'd call. So we knew that someone was coming down. And that's about all I have for tonight. We're at 30 minutes, and I have nobody watching, so hopefully this gets some traction, and I'm at least over the stage fright, and I feel so great that my brother forever is there. I'm going to keep on marching on, because I can only go forward at this point. So thanks for tuning in. Harley's dad out, and how do we stop this dream?